Alright kids, here we are. It's been a while, but we're here to do things, and that's what we're doing. We are on the Longfellow Trail, a place we've ventured a time or 12 over the years. And today we're just, exploring. Not really off that we get to anymore, and that's what we're gonna do. Spent the afternoon cleaning up my shed, and then we decided, fuck it. This is how we're spending the rest of our time today.
Yep.
And here's our turn.
Nope.
Oh, you're gonna go down here first.
Yep.
Alright, well then we'll go down here first. Where we're going right now is typically a dead end, but we've ventured down here a few times too.
Oh yeah.
But that's just the way it goes. So as per usual when we do these videos, it's time to bring everybody up to speed with what's been going on lately. And well, the long and short of it is not a whole hell of a lot.
Not much of anything, really.
But one thing that has been going on, we've been working on a project the past couple of weeks. And as of right now, it's basically done. A few little fiddly things here and there that need done to it yet. But I don't want to give away all the details yet, but
nope.
It's something in the vein of stuff we've already done on this channel. But this one might be the most practical of them, if that makes any sense. If not, you'll find out soon enough, because we plan on doing a reveal video sometime here in the near future. So look for that to come up on the channel soon. I will tell the story of how we went and got it. I won't say what it is yet, but I will say how we went and got it. So, I had been looking on the online classified ads, and I spotted something that I knew would interest Kyle.
Oh yeah.
And it was pretty much an instantaneous decision that we were going to go get it, given the asking price, which was $75, which was dirt cheap, all things considered anyway, but I'll get back to that. So we called these people up and we were like, hey, we saw your ad, we're interested, we just want to know some things. And of course the person that answered the phone didn't really know what they were talking about.
Right.
Because it wasn't the person that placed the ad. Yeah, we've arrived at a gate, so this is going to have to be a turnaround for us. But anyway, back to the story. So they called whoever it is they needed to call. And then they got back with us a few minutes later. And they said, well, he'll be here around 7:30 if you want to meet him then. And we were like, okay, that'll give us plenty of time to get there. Because this place was an hour and a half drive away.
Yeah.
But it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we weren't letting this one go. So we set out on our quest, taking all the back roads, winding to this little hillbilly hick town that we were going to get what we were after to get. And we got there, and the person got there at exactly the same time we did, which was kind of fucked up, but
ironic.
That's how it worked out. But anyway, so they take us down to where they had this thing, and they showed it to us, and we were like, well, we were kind of hoping it was, all there.
Yeah.
Like, we knew it was missing an important component, but
we already
had that. We just needed the rest of it. But there were a couple essential things that they didn't have that we kind of needed. But we said, all right, well, $50 move it out of here. And they were like, well, since you came all this way, sure, why not? So we threw it in the truck. Well, rather they threw it in the truck for us, but still. And on our way back we went. And we spent the past couple of weeks working on it, getting it into working condition. And it's now, for all intents and purposes, fully functional.
Yep.
Just needs a few things here and there, minor things, nothing important. But yeah, we'll be showing that to you here real soon, because we're kind of excited about it, because it's one of our best projects to date. So that's a thing that's happening. And yeah. So the obligatory channel updates, since I haven't really been doing too many of these videos in a while, I guess I'll talk about that a little bit. As of the posting of this video, the Nate Complete Sonic Heroes series is coming to an end soon. The last few episodes of that will be going up over the course of the next few weeks. Now we're going to make a turn here onto West Longfellow Road. And there's a big old fucking rut there.
God damn.
But anyway, when I started that series, I had no idea just how long it was going to take. It turned out to be a hell of a lot longer than I initially anticipated. And I will kind of spoil it a little bit. It's only going to be a 20-part series. Only 20 parts.
Only.
Considering the last two completes that I did were 10 and 9 parts respectively, although in all fairness, Sonic Adventure DX could have easily been a lot longer if I wouldn't have split some of the parts, if I would have split some of the parts up rather into the half-hour segments like I do now rather than making them an hour long. But at the same time, it could have also been shorter had I not done the bonus video. So really, in all things considered, it's not that much of a longer game. It's just the way I divided it up, it ended up being a longer series. So yeah, it kind of evens out in that respect.
But GPS don't even know where the fuck we're going.
Nice. But yes, that will ultimately end with part 20. As I've said before, the next complete series after that will be Octodad, Dadliest Catch. I don't know what it's going to be after that. I thought about doing Fran Bow. I'm not 100% sure on that yet. I know at some point in time I'd like to do Jazz Punk. That game's kind of old now, so is Octodad and Fran Bow, but Jazz Punk's kind of a funny game, and I'd like to do that one. But yeah, I'm going to do those at some point. I don't know if I'm going to do them back to back, but I will do them at some point. But Octodad is the next one in line for completes. As far as Nate Fails That goes, I haven't been making a whole lot of those lately because I haven't had time, but those will return. I don't know when it's going to happen exactly, but we will still do a Mortal Kombat month. We promised that last year, but we never got the time to do it.
Because, you know,
things happen.
Things happen. My daughter was born in... Yeah. Now, do we go down that way or no?
No, not for where we're going to go.
Okay.
That is a way... That is a way we can go, but let's not.
Yeah.
That's not the desired way to go.
No.
But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, we also are going to try and do a 2-player games month. This was something we were going to do last year, but there was a fuck up with the recordings and we had to scrap it. So hopefully we'll get to do that soon.
Yeah. Ow.
It all comes down to when we have time to make this shit.
Yeah.
But I also plan on continuing Happy Wheels, because that's one I enjoy doing. I just haven't had time to do it. I'm also going to be doing more PC games, you know, stuff on the computer, like things for Steam. One thing that's going to happen sometime in the future, I don't know when exactly. I'm thinking maybe around Halloween. That's not set in stone yet, but I'd like to do a Five Nights at Freddy's month and do the 4 main Five Nights at Freddy's games, because that would be a perfect thing to do for a theme month. So look for that maybe in October. I wouldn't quote me on that just yet, but that's a maybe.
And one thing that we are definitely bringing back this year, and that's Pumpkin Massacre.
Yes, we didn't get to last year because there were things that came up that were kind of out of our control, so we had to abandon that last year. But this year, we're going to make it happen. I don't know if it's going to be on the same scale, but we'll make it happen one way or another. You know.
I don't remember what this is, Nate.
I think it's right here.
Well, shit. Is it?
Yeah. This is it. It's just a little washed out. Yep, this is definitely it. But, yeah, we're going to try and make that happen again this year. But, now that I have enabled my account to work with Google+, I can now respond to your comments. So if you want to leave us comments for ideas for different things that we can do on this channel, and I mean, we're open to any and all suggestions. You know, doesn't mean we'll do your idea, but if you have something you'd like to see us do, let us know in the comments, because we're always trying to think up new stuff we can do on this channel.
Yeah, something like what we're doing right now, rock crawling.
Yeah, well, kind of rock crawling. More just like taking a really shitty trail. Fortunately for us, we know where this goes. Because we have been here before. It's just been a hell of a long time.
Ooh.
But, yeah. Any suggestions are welcome. You know, we are always racking our brains for what we can do. And we can't, you know, beat the same dead horse for much longer. So, you know. Watch this tree. There you go. You got it. Yeah, this is a very narrow trail.
Yeah.
I don't know how well that translates to video, considering it's nighttime, but this is not somewhere you want to take your grandmother's car.
No.
You know, don't go pestering grandma and ask to borrow the car for the weekend and then come back here. You will not enjoy it.
No. There won't be
unless her
anything.
car happens to be, you know, a World War II era Willys Jeep. And if she drives that, well, 1, she's either crazy, or 2, she's just really badass, or 3, both.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Whoa.
Rocking the boat, Tater.
Trying my damnedest not to let the camera shake too much so we don't make our viewers motion sick. You know, all 3 of them. And,
Oh.
yeah.
Last time we went through here was in Dad's new truck.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it was. And it was a little easier to fit through here.
Yeah.
Because your truck's a little bigger than his.
Holy fucking Christ.
Yeah, this road's a little rough.
Ooh.
At least this is the worst part of it. We're literally like inching forward to do this.
Gotta take a shit?
No.
Didn't work one out?
No. And we are past the roughness. Or at least that part. So yeah.
That was fun.
Totally.
Now it's time to wash the tires off in the creek.
Yeah, because fuck bridges. Who needs them? We are literally about to drive through the water right now.
Whoa.
Woohoo! Little lumpy. There we go. We're through the water, and we're now on our way to the rest of Longfellow Trail.
Land.
Yes. We've been wanting to document this trail for some time now. We just never bothered. But tonight is the night. Lots of really nice pine trees through here. And we have arrived back at Longfellow Trail. Because the way we went was not actually part of it, but it does complete the connection. So that's a thing.
Sorry if I gave you folks fucking motion sickness.
That is alright. Alright, in the last segment, we've got you guys back up to speed with what's going on with the channel. Now I think it's time to move on to the more traditional part of this series, and that's story time. And as we mentioned before, not a whole lot's happened with us, you know, since the last video.
That we want to mention on camera.
Right. But there are some things. And I'm going to start with one of my favorite subjects to ramble about on this series.
Where you work.
That's where I work. And oh baby, has stuff been going on there. So as most of you know by now, I work for a major retailer. You know. And, you know, it has its good days, it has its bad days. But there have been a lot of changes going on there over the past few months. Some for better, some for worse. And I'm just going to touch on that a little bit. You know, I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't really know what all of it is allowed to be mentioned in a public setting like this. But, you know, for all intents and purposes, I'll keep it, you know, as, you know, fair and square as I can. So, let's just start off with some recent goings-on. There have been some policy changes in how things work there. Now, on paper, these policy changes actually kind of make sense to some extent. The one that pertains to this first story is, you know, attendance. And basically, the way it worked before was, you know, we were allowed 3 excused absences in a 6-month period that could be a maximum of 3 days apiece. Mm-hmm. It's now 9 excused absences in a 6-month period, but they're 1 day apiece. So it's basically the same thing. You know, it's the same added up amount of time. Well, here's
what I'm seeing.
Lots of wood.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we didn't bring a saw though.
No. Fuck.
But getting back to what I was saying, on paper, that's a good thing. And where it became a bad thing was people trying to take advantage of the system changeover. There was a cutoff date for when the old system was supposed to go out, and the new system was supposed to go into effect. We're back in the rough again, as you can probably surmise. But what was happening was people were trying to use up their sick time, basically. Or, you know, there were some who already used it up and were just like, well, you know what, fuck it. They're resetting the records anyway, who cares? Well, this is where the problems start to come up, because we have recently lost a reasonably large amount of people because of this, because they thought they were being smart and taking advantage, or in this, what the reality of it was, abusing the system, and well, they got what they had coming to them. Which, you know, in all fairness, you know, to the company, that was entirely within reason. You know, these people were
using the system.
Yeah, abusing the system, and they got what they deserved. But the problem that creates is we've been very short-staffed lately. And that, of course, directly affects me, because my primary job is a cashier. And some of the people who were terminated were cashiers. I will say that there was one that left on their own terms, but case in point, it hurts the rest of us. But that's not really what the main point of this story is. I just mentioned that to kind of set this up so that the rest of my story makes sense. Because, again, keeping in all fairness, they have hired people to replace these people. The problem with that is, in my line of work, and also given the nature of the company that I work for, they will hire just about anybody.
Yeah, doesn't matter if you're...
Doesn't matter what color you are, what intelligence level you are.
You could be as smart as...
You could be about as intelligent as one of these rocks we're driving past.
Yeah. You could be as smart as a dolphin or as intelligent as that fucking rock that I just ran over.
Right. And of course, me being a longer tenured, you know, person in this line of work, I often am given the responsibility of training new hires to run register. You know, we have a training coordinator that, you know, they go through for their learning modules and the basics of the company, but for their job specific tasks, that, you know, requires whoever already works in their particular department. And my department being the front end, that means I've got to train new cashiers when they ship them out of the training room. And I will say this, some of the ones that they've hired recently caught on pretty quick, and they're doing quite well. The most recent one they sent me has me, you know, questioning, where do they find these people? I'm not exactly sure how old she is. I know she's older than me. How much older, I can't tell, based on the thick application of makeup and the substantial amount of hair dye. So she could be anywhere from 30 to 70. I'll put it that way. I'm gonna venture a guess she's either in her late 30s or early 40s. And if she's younger than that, well then...
Oh!
I feel sorry for her. But anywho, she was one of those types where... Well, let me put it this way. I try to be a very easy to get along with, outgoing person.
Yeah.
And when I train someone, I don't take it 100% seriously because I want them to feel at ease. I don't want them to feel like what they're doing is a chore. or feel like they need to do everything in their power to impress me, or like they need to feel like they're walking on eggshells or stuff like that. You know, I'm trying to make it a comfortable working situation for them. It seemed like no matter what I said or did, what I showed her how to do, anything like that, she just was looking at me like, I hate you. For no obvious reason. I mean, she literally just met me, and I'm just telling her how to do her job, and I usually start out with, okay, what is it you want me to explain first? Because, you know, some people can pick shit up on their own, some can't.
Yeah.
Different people learn different ways, so I just want to teach them what they want to know. And really, the only way to learn that job is to do that job. So, I started basically, you know, with the basics of our, you know, our checkout setup and all that, and I said, just watch what I do. That's really the only way to learn, is to watch what I do, and then when you think you're ready to give it a try, we'll throw you in here and let you do it. And, well, needless to say, she has about the personality.
Is that Click?
Well, I was gonna go for something like a porcupine. You know, she can be a little prickly.
I'm gonna give my brakes a break.
But yeah. So after about a half an hour, I said, you want to give this a try yet? And she just kind of gives me the yeah, whatever treatment. So I let her get on there, and, you know, she handled the process well enough, like she could do the job. You know, we're operating the equipment. She was picking it up pretty quick, you know. But her demeanor with people just was not the most pleasant. You know. That, and I don't think she grasps the concept of how you're supposed to bag stuff. As there were a couple of times where I had to redo some of her questionable packing jobs. But, yeah. So that was kind of my interesting encounter of the past week. Just, one of those new hires where you're like, yeah. Let's see, what other interesting things have happened to me recently? Well, one of the things that we've been doing at the store is we're trying to get people to apply for our company's credit card. And I'm always the one that they come to when they need something like this accomplished. You know, they wanted me to set up a little table to display information and stuff like that. So that's what I did. And I was trying to think of something catchy that would get people's attention. So I figured, well, since we're in the month of April, and this thing we're doing is supposed to be a month-long event, I came up with the theme of spring into savings. You know, it's springtime. You know, kind of a nice little play on words. So I grabbed a bunch of flowers and garden gnomes, little ceramic squirrels, birdhouses, and all sorts of shit, and I made a little garden scene on this table. Everybody looks at it. Old people think it's adorable. You think any of them want to apply for a credit card? Fuck no! Like, oh, look at the little birdie and the squirrel, it's so cute. Oh, that's what it's for. One of those situations.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't say I didn't try. And of course, you know, all the managers and stuff thought my idea was great. And they're like, wow, that looks really good. And it's like, yeah, but nobody cares. So, you know, you win some, you lose some.
This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, this is the other rough part of the operation.
Because there's a lot of dips.
A lot of dips and a lot of holes.
one we're coming up on right now.
Yep.
Holy shit.
I'll say. Well, we're basically already coming up on the end of the trail, so we'll be back in a few minutes. Maybe wrap this thing up. And we're back. We've made it down out of the rocks. Now we're back on the open road. And just as well, because I was kind of tired of getting the shit shook out of me. But, you know, it's all part of the fun and games. So anyway, I was thinking about what else to talk about in this video, and I realized I haven't really told many stories about, you know, stuff from way back in my past lately. You know, stuff that happened when I was a kid, stuff like that. I mean, I'm forever talking about, you know, channel updates and shit that happened to me at work, but I haven't really talked much about stuff from way back when lately. So, this isn't related to anything that we've really talked about in particular, but, and I really don't even know what made me think of this, but I thought it would be kind of a funny story to tell. It might be, it might not be, I don't know.
Maybe getting your fucking brain shook out of you, knocked it loose.
Hard to tell. But this one goes way back. And maybe I told this story a long time ago in a video. I don't really remember. But, it was way back when I had my first computer. The very first one I ever had that was, you know, a legitimate computer. Not one of those, you know, VTech toys or something like that. This one was a real deal. It was one that my aunt and uncle used to have, and I remember messing with it at their house when they still used it. You know, it was an old 386, and if you don't know what a 386 is, just look one up. They're an ancient dinosaur by today's standards, but back then, you know, they were, well, it was kind of an ancient dinosaur when I had it, but back in the day, they were the shit. You know, they weren't as good as, say, a 486, but, you know, they held their own. But anyway, it was an old Swan 386, which was kind of like an IBM back in those days, but, you know, it was kind of more like a more generic brand. But anyway, this thing had Windows 3.1 on it. Yeah, this was right around the dawn of Windows 95. Windows 95 was kind of the new thing at the time. You know, I would say this was right around 1996 or 97 when I got this thing. So yeah, Windows 95 was still a big deal back then. But, of course, I had this old 386 with 3.1 on it because it was a hand-me-down, but, you know, it was my first source of real computing power. Well, for those of you youngins out there who don't remember those old days, I won't call them the good old days because in hindsight, they weren't that good.
Yeah.
But for you youngins out there who don't remember that ancient shit, those of you who are our age or older that do will know exactly what I'm talking about. Windows 3.1 was a horrible piece of shit. Like, let's put that into perspective, you know, for you kids out there. Windows 8's not great. Windows 10, Windows Vista was pretty bad, you know, when that came out. Windows 3.1 was horrible from start to finish.
Yeah.
But back then, that was all you had. You didn't have much to compare it to. You know, it was the first Windows operating system that began to resemble what we have today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Windows 95 kind of set the standard, but that was the beginnings of it. You know, but this isn't a technical history lesson. No, I'm just explaining the situation here. Anyway, I really didn't know half of what I was doing back then. And the only source of knowledge that I had for what to do came from my cousin. He was not the brightest bulb either. He was trying to explain to me what to do to clear up space and to keep it from, slowing down and being, a slow piece of junk. I don't think he knew what he was talking about when he told me what files to delete and stuff. Because after doing this a few times, then the thing just started to not work at all. Because first, it had a bunch of really pretty nice icons and stuff in the program manager. They disappeared and just became plain folder icons, so I know I fucked something up there. Certain programs weren't working anymore. And then it got to the point where it wouldn't even get past booting up the DOS.
Wow.
And for you youngins who don't know what DOS is, it was basically a text-based interface to launch programs. And Windows launched from that. Yeah. So, mind you, at the time I was only like 9 or 10 years old. So I didn't really know what to do about this back then. Like these days I could fix a computer no problem. Back then not so much. I had the disks and stuff to reinstall Windows, but I didn't know how to do it. Because at that time I didn't really know my ass from a hole in the ground. So my grandmother came in the bedroom with me, found the instruction manual with it, and was trying to tell me what to do, reading it to me while I was doing it. That went about as well as you think it did.
Right.
In other words, it didn't work at all. So finally we admitted defeat, and my aunt and uncle agreed to take it back to their place and see if they could get it going again, and they never actually did. So fast forward a couple more years, and they got yet another new computer, because they're the type they like to keep up with the times. They've always been that way, even to this day. So they got a new one and gave me their other old one, the one that they bought to replace the one that they initially gave me the first time. And I had better success with it. It actually ran Windows 95, and it did decently. It wasn't the most powerful thing in the world, but it worked. For a while. Then it eventually started acting up. And at that point, I wasn't going down with that a fight, so we broke down and took it to an actual computer repair shop. The guy basically told me, like, look, I could fix this, but I think you just need a new one. So he convinced me to get a newer one, and that's what I did. Traded it in, and that was kind of what started a rapid increase in me doing this sort of thing. And ever since then, it's just, been a, clusterfuck of technology, because I've had so many different computers in my possession over the years, given to me, purchased or otherwise. But yeah, I still remember that day sitting in my room with my grandmother trying to figure out how to install Windows 3.1 from a shit ton of floppy disks with virtually no success whatsoever. So yeah. That was one story I felt the need to share, because it's just so... It was kind of the beginning of an era for me. Yeah, that thing was a piece in itself. That thing was an old, what was that? That was a 486, wasn't it?
AST 486.
Yeah.
Windows 95. And what, we shoved 3.1 on it?
No, we kept 95 on it, but it had no power whatsoever.
It had 8 megabytes of RAM.
Yeah. Like these days, those kind of numbers are unheard of.
Yeah.
You know. But that just is a testament to how far
Half a gig hard drive.
Yeah. That's a testament to just how much technology has changed. But yeah. Another story from my childhood, and again, this story doesn't really connect to anything, but fuck it, I might as well tell it because I just thought of it. This goes back to when I was in kindergarten. So, 6 years old. I was quite the wussy kid growing up. I was not the bravest person. I was not, the strongest or the most outgoing. I was a straight up wuss. And I make nothing short of that. That's just the way I was back then. Our teacher at the time, she was really awesome. I liked her. Her name was Mrs. McMullen. One day she decided to bring in a bunch of x-rays because she wanted to teach us about them.
Okay.
They were x-rays of her son, who I forget what it was happened to him, but they were full body x-rays, arms, legs, chest, head, enough to show off the whole skeleton. I was fine seeing all of this until she got to the skull, and for whatever reason, my 6-year-old mind just did not like what it saw, and I just broke down and started to bawl like a little bitch. Right there in front of God and everybody. Don't know why, but it happened. She couldn't understand it either. Rightfully so, because, who the fuck is afraid of a skull?
Yeah.
6 years old or not, what the fuck? I don't know what was wrong with me at that particular moment. Like, I have the memory of the picture vividly in my head, and, it doesn't bother me now. I mean, compared to some of the sick shit that I've seen in my life since then, that's nothing. You can show me probably the most grotesquely gory thing you can think of, and I wouldn't flinch these days. But back then, my mind just couldn't handle that. Another thing that happened to me that was kind of a traumatic experience growing up. This was a few years later when I was in 3rd grade, and I may have told this story before, but fuck it, we're on the subject of just shit that happened to me as a kid. My 3rd grade teacher was kind of a douche. And, I was one of his favorite targets, and probably because I was such a wussy, sensitive kid, I guess to be the word for it. It was my birthday. Now, mind you, I was in a program for gifted children, and I mentioned this before. I was kind of the higher tier of intelligence, I guess. You wouldn't know to look at me today, but I was technically one of the smart kids. But anyway, I had come back from being in that for the day, And
Oh, we got pigs.
yeah, we got some law enforcement up ahead here near the gas station.
2 of them.
I'll conceal the camera a little bit because I don't want to quit rolling. But anyway, it was in the middle of math class when I came back because, you know, I don't know how things are in elementary schools these days. Okay, we're past the action now. But back then, you know, you just sat in one room for the whole day and your one teacher taught you everything.
Yeah.
I imagine it's still that way for the most part in elementary schools. But that's how it worked for when we were that age anyway. But anyway, like I said, it was in the middle of math class and I had just come back from my other classroom. And I just sat down, was getting situated, and he says, he picks me and tells me to go up to the chalkboard. And I'm thinking, okay, whatever. And he asked me to write the number 321. I didn't grasp why at the time, and I'm running out of battery here, so I'll probably make this the last story. But as I do, I turn around and then he says, "Get him," and everybody piles on top of me. That was one of the most traumatic experiences for me because I wasn't expecting it, and I panicked and I started kicking and punching and swinging. I think I gave one kid a black eye. But yeah, that was kind of a douchey thing to do. Well, anyway, like I said, the camera battery's going dead. I could probably tell some more stories, but this video is getting kind of long anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for this one. Again, let us know what sort of stuff you want to see on this channel. If for some ungodly reason you like this video, leave a like. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to us because we do stuff like this. We do stuff like you see down there in the other stuff section. We do Let's Plays. We do just a little bit of everything. So we'll see you in the next one.
See ya.